Seven things about divorce papers. My name's Michelle Riley. This is a follow up to another video that I recorded and uploaded to the channel earlier today called Unforgettable Divorce Notarization, My Best Experience Ever. And so if you haven't watched that first video, Unforgettable Divorce Notarization, make sure you do that either before or after watching this video here, as the two are related. In Seven Things About Divorce Papers, I just want to make some additional comments about requests that we as notaries receive from the general public when they need their divorce paperwork notarized. I've been a commissioned Alabama Notary Public here in the state of Alabama for almost 20 years now. And I am also a notary instructor. And so I put out these videos as a way to educate, mentor, answer questions of other notaries. I hope you find it helpful. And in the seven things, some of these you can view them as questions or things for you to consider prior to finalizing the actual notarization. The first thing I want to talk about is when you get a call or a request to notarize divorce paperwork, ask the caller, ask the person if this is a contested or uncontested divorce. It's not that you're being nosy, it's that by having this information, you will be better prepared to know what to expect at the signing table. Specifically, what I mean is the temperature in the room. A contested divorce usually means that one of the couples does not want to divorce yet. So you have one individual who is ready to end the marriage, and then you have their partner who wants to remain married. And so, need I say any more? If you have been hired to notarize documents for someone who does not want to be divorced, you should expect that individual to be displeased, unhappy, perhaps even angry, and uncooperative. And so I make sure I ask that question so that I can gauge the temperature, the climate that will exist in the room or at the signing table. It will also give me an idea if could turn into a lengthy notary appointment or not, and if the appointment will be successful or not. Again, if one of the individuals is contesting or does not want to be divorced, there's a good possibility that they will refuse to sign one or more of the documents. And you'll need to be prepared by that. That's what I mean by success, whether it's a successful signing appointment or a notarization appointment or not. So do ask the caller, is anyone contesting this divorce, or are you both ready to divorce? That will help you to have more realistic expectations about what may happen at the appointment itself. The other consideration is whether the divorce papers were drawn up by a lawyer or if the couple is taking the DIY or do it yourself approach. I am not a fan of DIY when it comes to important legal transactions. But as a notary, I don't get a say in that. But I do want to know because I have found when a lawyer is involved, the documents tend to be more accurate and more complete. When the couple has questions about certain documents and terms and provisions, the lawyer and his team are expected to provide those answers. And then the time that it takes for me to complete a notarization when the lawyer draws up the documents is far shorter than for do it yourself divorces. Why is that? Because my experience has been with DIY, the couple, they don't have access to legal advice. And so they save their questions until they meet with me, the notary. And many of them assume a notary has had legal training and can answer the question either based on legal training or just based on the notary's familiarity with divorce papers. So get that knowledge up front before you book the appointment. DIY also takes longer, I find, because in certain instances, there will be questions that won't be filled out because, again, the couple is waiting for the notary to tell them what to write in a certain blank on the form. So, again, I'm a big fan for lawyer prepared divorce papers. But if the couple tells me that they are doing it themselves, I make sure I stress with them and explain to them that I am not going to be able to explain the legal terms, and nor am I going to be able to show them how to properly complete the divorce papers. That is not the notary's responsibility. The next consideration is the signing location, the place that you, the notary, will be meeting with the couple. For more and more, I prefer meeting couples or signers in public locations. I did used to have a notary office, a brick and mortar notary office, and I would routinely allow or have the parties come to my office. I never invite anyone to my home. I don't think that is a good thing to do, whether it's divorce papers or not. But for the signing location, I lean towards a public place. Today, when I met with the couple, um, they chose Starbucks, which was one that I was very familiar with. I know about the seating. I know how easy it is to get in and find a table. So we agreed to meet there, a public place. Um, I find signers are more likely to control their feelings, control their behavior, and it gives me as a notary more control about when and how I need to leave the appointment should things get uncomfortable for me. And I'll talk more about that later. Another plus about signing in a public place is that depending on the divorce documents and the state that they're drawn up in, there could be forms that require not only notarization but witnessing. And so if the couple chooses to find their own witness, they can tap someone on the shoulder and ask them to be a witness to their signature. Now, I don't recommend that approach, but again, as a notary, I don't have total control over what happens at the signing table. So again, I recommend public location. Again, if this is a contested divorce, again, meeting in public will give you, the notary, a little more sense of control. Being able to have others around might make you feel more comfortable. The next factor or the consideration is fear factor. And we were slowly getting into that in the last slide. Um, it's okay if you have reservations about accepting requests to notarize divorce papers. In fact, it's my understanding, unless something has changed recently, that most UPS stores will not notarize divorce papers. They have, along with other documents. And I'm not sure why that decision was made, if it speaks to how these are very sensitive documents and they want to avoid any drama in their stores. But they're not the only ones. I believe many banks will avoid divorce papers. So all of this can make it difficult for couples to find notaries who are willing to notarize their divorce papers for them. So, my suggestions for you in dealing with the fear factor, any concerns that you have, think safety first. And you're going to pick up on signals on the phone call when they call asking you for your fees and asking you to meet with them. Um, if the caller is telling you about what a nightmare the divorce has been, they can't wait to get rid of their spouse has some mental nervous issues and they've been violent, that is an appointment that I'm going to probably not move forward with. I will probably decline that. There's nothing wrong with you asking the caller, do you, the notary, need to be concerned about your safety or their safety? Go ahead and put that out on the table. Ask as many questions as you need in order for you to know whether to move forward with this or not. And if you are in doubt about your safety based on where they want to meet and the factors surrounding the divorce, you have every right to decline. Let's go ahead and talk about notary fee for a moment. I encourage you, when you're on the phone with the caller, stick with giving them an estimate only. I say that because you are quoting your fee without seeing the documents. Now, you may want to ask them to go ahead and forward the documents to you, or take a picture, or read off the names on the titles of each of the forms and tell you how many places need to be signed and notarized. That's not easy for some individuals to do. It's easy for us notaries, but not for the signer. And so today, when I got a call to notarize divorce papers, I gave an estimate. I after I probed and asked some questions, I also asked if the documents were prepared by an Alabama lawyer or not. That helped me out. I asked if the documents were going to be filed in Madison County. So, based on my prior experience, that allowed me to give my estimate. I anticipated there would be at least 6 documents that required signatures and notarizations. And so I quoted the $10 notarization per notarial act fee. And so that gave the individual an idea of what my minimum fee would be. Keep in mind that most of the, should I say most? I'll go with many of the divorce documents are going to have the jurat language, which means you're going to need to place the signers under oath. And that plays a role in setting your fee as well. Also, if children are involved, if property is involved, whether it's home property, boats, investment property, alimony, there are additional um, forms tied to those scenarios, which could mean more signatures and more notarizations. And so that's why I stress give them an estimate, quote the state notary fee, and say, for each notarization I'll be performing, you can expect a $10 fee. And then, as you know, here in Alabama, there's that travel fee. So, again, I gave the caller just an estimate. And once I got to the appointment and reviewed the documents, I was able to confirm with the couple that my estimate would not change and would be firm. And they were happy about that. Keep in mind that divorce papers are recorded documents. They will be permanently recorded at the courthouse, and therefore they will pass through several sets of hands. They will be reviewed by multiple parties. The couple that I met with today is returning the documents back to the lawyer. And then the lawyer or his staff will file the documents at the courthouse. It is imperative that there are no mistakes. So I went through the documents twice after I was done to make sure that I didn't overlook anything. Um, I wrote more is better. I'm talking about the notarial certificate. Even if the certificate does not ask for your printed name or your commission expiration date, be sure to include it anyway. Make sure that the venues are filled out where indicated. This would be a good time when you are checking or proofreading your work to talk with the signers about your return policy. What do I mean by that? I mean, what is your policy if at a later date they find out that you made a mistake? What should they do? Should they go find another notary? Do you want them to contact you? And if so, are you going to charge them to fix your mistake? Are you going to force them to get in their car and meet you? Or are you going to go to them? And so I make sure that I explain what my company policy is or my notary policy is if there are any mistakes that are attributed to me, and how I will handle that. And then if mistakes are attributable to the couple, how I handle that. And then finally, the notary journal. Yes, I'm well aware that in Alabama, using a journal is optional. However, um, it's never optional for me. And I encourage you, especially for this type of form, not only that you record the documents in your journal, but take extra notes. Outline where you met with the couple. Be clear about which documents required an oath and which didn't. Anything unusual or not, record it to help jog your memory if in the future this signing is contested or challenged, or you're called upon to testify in court. I also make sure that I include the Alabama approved notary fee in the journal. So, again, if at a later date the signer has an issue with the total fee that I charged, it's clear what was the notary fee and what was my travel fee. I hope you found this information helpful. Um, just a few suggestions and tips that you can use and adjust as you see fit so that you feel better prepared for your notarization of divorce papers. Again, my name is Michelle Riley. My contact information is on the screen for those of you who may want to reach out. But if you have questions about anything covered in this video, please feel free to post them in the comments below, and you can also contact me by email. This information should never be considered as legal advice. Instead, consider it helpful information from a fellow notary public. I really appreciate you tuning in for another video, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.